Hey guys, so here it is. We're coming into September, and I was just thinking about the Lord's goodness, and I don't think I know that I've never posted a video like this one. So I feel like I'm supposed to today. I'm supposed to share this part of my story and my journey, and I'm supposed to make it public like this through the internet. So here goes. Many years ago, after I had gone through cancer and the Lord brought me through that, and after I had had some other major health issues, I started to have neurological symptoms that made absolutely no sense. And they were severe. They would result in drop to the floor seizure like activity. They would be spurred on by a really loud sound or a startling sound. Like I remember my husband was in the kitchen and he dropped a pot, and I dropped to the floor and I was in a fetal position and I was rocking myself and screaming. And then afterwards, I was just crying. I could not stop crying. And the logical part of my brain was, woo woo, I don't know where it was, but it wasn't there in the moment. And so my husband would just hold me until I got through it. And then I would get to the other side, and then I'd just want nothing more than to lay down and sleep, kind of reset my system. And I also was experiencing something called absence seizures. So I would just completely check out and zone out, and I was unresponsive, super quiet, no sounds coming from me, just super zoned out, different from like dissociation. Like my brain was checking out. And then my poor husband would come over and he knew I was out, and so he would come and he'd touch me and I would scream and cry and shake, and then I'd be on the other side of it. So, needless to say, I saw a lot of doctors and a lot of specialists. And every single person, through all the MRIs, through all the testing, they were like, I really don't know what to make of this. I can't tell you what's going on. Which gave me like zero hope for recovery, right? Like all these people were looking at me and testing and saying, you are a medical enigma. So I remember feeling very hopeless and distraught. And I had been praying for healing. I was asking the Lord, what's going on here? What are we missing? Help me understand. And then I felt like I was supposed to get on this neurologist's wait list. And y'all, he's a reputable neurologist, so I think it was 6 months of a wait list. 6 months waiting, and hearing that this guy knows his stuff and that he would offer a different kind of perspective. Maybe a perspective that I had never really considered before. So I thought, okay, he's worth the wait. And I remember being in his office and he's looking over all of my test results and looking at previous notes that basically said, we don't understand this. And he had me do some in-house testing. We did some neurological testing, did some reflex stuff, basic stuff. And he shakes his head and he's like, Catherine, it doesn't make sense medically what's going on with you. He said, I think that this is a trauma response. I think that this is actually something called a conversion disorder. As soon as he said the words, I knew it was true, but I also didn't want it to be true. Because if it had been like a straightforward medical diagnosis, we could probably talk about a treatment plan, right? This was like hit me square between the eyes and was this understanding of, okay, you have so much trauma stored up inside your body that you're going to need to do some deep trauma work to release it. Otherwise, you're going to continue to experience the world in this way where you have unpredictable symptoms on a regular basis. And the symptoms were debilitating, and they were really messing with my quality of life and my day-to-day function. So I looked at him, and we had already discussed our commonality of faith in Christ, because he was asking me, like, how have you gotten this far? And I was like, well, the Lord's just been sustaining me, and he knows what's best, and he's got a plan in all this. And he was like, yeah, he does. Which made me realize this is probably one of the reasons why I had to be on that wait list so long, because I needed to find a practitioner who understood it on multiple levels. And to get to talk with a neurologist who understands the neurobiology of trauma enough to look at me and say, I think this is trauma, that was extraordinary. So it wasn't long. It was incredible because I'd already been doing work with my therapist. So we started to lean into the trauma side of the work. And we were doing brain spotting, and we were really unpacking things and just inviting the Lord into hard spaces. And it was only a few months, honestly. And I remember the smoke detector went off in the house. That was one of my biggest trigger sounds in the past. And we had a faulty one, so it would just kick in sometimes out of the blue. Oh man, that would send me to the ground, shaking, screaming, all the things. And so the smoke detector goes off, and my husband has like eyes as big as saucers, and he's trying to rush me outside, and he's trying to open all the windows as fast as he possibly can. And the detectors are going off, and it's loud, don't get me wrong, and I'm covering my ears. But I just stopped, and I realized there's no threat here. Everything's fine. It's just a smoke detector. The logical part of my brain kicked on, and that was a huge turning point. My husband and I were so excited to celebrate the fact that there was this loud, intense, startling sound, and I was able to stay in a place of regulation. I didn't have those neuro issues. And little by little, my brain healed. I chose foods that were anti-inflammatory. I was already on a gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, egg-free nutrition path, and then I was real careful about not choosing inflammatory foods. And I was seeing my counselor on a regular basis. It was a very sweet spiritual season with the Lord. And I look back in absolute awe and wonder. He's brought me through so much. And I just wanted to share that story with you all. I wanted to be his ambassador from a place of hope and restoration. And I also wanted to be able to let you know that nothing's impossible for him. He can heal anything, and it's according to his will and his way and his plan and his timing that healing occurs, because obviously sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, that's what I was supposed to be sharing with you today. And I just offer that hope today to any of you out there struggling with something, feeling stuck, feeling like nothing is ever going to change. I just invite you to continue to keep your eyes on the Lord, the author and finisher of our faith and our source of salvation. God bless you all.